Alright, hey guys, it's been a while. I'm gonna make a video. It could possibly be a long one. It's just gonna be me talking, and I'm gonna show you something. Um, anyway, you may have known that Apple had their iPod Touch event last Wednesday, September 9th. It was called It's Only Rock and Roll, But We Like It. And there, they announced new iPod Shuffles. Basically, they're just coming in different colors. New iPod Classic, which they upped the storage capacity to 160 gigabytes. So I think they said it can hold like 40,000 songs or something. They announced a new iPod Nano. It has a bigger screen, just slightly. It's a glossier, shinier casing. It just looks a little bit better, and it has a camera. That was the biggest thing. It cannot take still pictures. It can take videos, and I hear it's supposed to be okay. It's not obviously the greatest. It's not as good as the 3DS, but it's not bad for like an iPod. Um, so it has a bunch of like little filtered effects like Cyborg, X-ray, and some other things. And it also has an FM radio with live pause. Then moving on to the iPod Touch. I'm disappointed. Now that I've got that out of the way, they lowered the prices on the iPod Touches down to $199 for an 8 GB iPod Touch, eliminated the 16 GB, and instead replaced it with the 32 GB for $299 and a 64 GB for $399. They also improved the processor in the 32 and 64 GB iPod Touch. So the 8 GB iPod Touch is basically the same as the second generation one. If you get that, you're not going to get the better processor. Instead, you have to pay the $299 for the 32 or the $399 for the 64 to get the better processor and stuff, which is supposed to be 50% faster, and I believe I saw in a video possibly better than the 3GS's, considering it is newer. However, a lot of people were speculating, and a lot of people were hoping, and I don't know what else, but thinking that the iPod Touch was gonna have a camera. There were a lot of case leaks, and there was actually even a video of somebody who had a purported whatever iPod Touch with a camera, and I will get into that in a minute. Um, all the people that released the cases or the case leaks for the iPod Touch with the camera and the iPod Nano with the camera were accurate on the iPod Nano part. It had the camera in the correct location, which makes me believe there was supposed to be an iPod Touch with a camera. There was a rumor that there were malfunctions with the cameras Apple got for the iPod Touches, and that could have been a reason why they weren't shown. However, I thought still would have been shown. They just said it wouldn't be released so soon. It would be released maybe a month later or something. So they got better cameras. But that was not the case. They did not show anything. So I am severely disappointed. I don't know if this was a malfunction problem or if they just did this for some kind of reason. Maybe they have a really good plan. I don't know. But I'm going to get more into that. Actually, I'll show it to you right now. This post was just happened. So as you can see, it says this is about the iPod Touch prototype that did have a camera I talked to you about, and it turns out that the person who did that dissected it just as the people at iFixit.com did, and it turns out that the internals are exactly the same, so this person was not faking. This guy actually had a camera in the iPod Touch, which is interesting. And it's also rumored that Apple might release an iPod Touch with a camera without warning. So I don't know about you, but I'm definitely not getting a new iPod Touch. Not one of the 32 gigabytes or anything. I'm just gonna wait till around Christmas time. And in the dissection, they found out that the iPod Touch did have an 802.1.11n chip. If you don't know what that means, a lot of routers, or they used to be like 802.11g, because a lot of routers run the G, or were G, and now a lot of routers are becoming N routers, and N routers are faster. And in order for a device to utilize the extra speed, they need to have an N chip, obviously. And it turns out the iPod Touch has the new iPod Touch, of course, but it's not activated. And it also has FM transmission, which is not activated, and like I said, plus room for a nano camera, which is 6 millimeters by 6 millimeters by 3 millimeters. So I'm really confused here. Why are they adding all this extra hardware if they're not going to use it? FM radio, activate it. Come on, the iPod Nano got it. Why shouldn't the iPod Touch? And the N chip, those could be major selling points. I don't know why they're holding off, but yeah, that just kind of disappoints me. The Zune HD is being released Tuesday, September 15th. I personally want to get one. Earlier I said I wasn't sure because I was expecting the iPod Touch to come out with a camera, and I was going to get that. But now that I know it's not, and I might wait till Christmas to get it, I might be getting this. It is actually cheaper than an iPod Touch. The iPod Touch is $199 for an 8 gigabyte. It's $219 for a 16 gigabyte Zune HD, and it's $299 for a 32 gigabyte iPod Touch, and it's $289 for a 32 gigabyte Zune HD. Now, just for a little brief history lesson, Microsoft, when they first announced the Zune, I believe it was too little, too late. The iPod was it was just massive. It has so many people. It's everybody says iPod. It's like, I'm gonna go listen to my iPod. I'm gonna go listen to my Zune. It's always iPod. So the Zune was just not at the right time. And now Microsoft's releasing actually a touch device, and I believe they've done a really good job with it. The user interface looks like they took a lot of time just trying to make everything flow good, and I think it looks really good and really just great. Hopefully, they're going to need to do a few things, so if they expect this to get big. One thing is, obviously, they're going to need to get an app store or some form of it. And in one of their promotional videos, there was actually a video of a racing game being played on it. And people believe that could be Forza 3, which Microsoft is creating for consoles. They're going to need to put out apps. They have to. If they expect to compete with Apple in this time of age, or this age of time, I don't know, they need to. When the iPod Touch and iPhone first came out, you might remember the games that came out on it. They were not that great. Obviously, Crash Bandicoot, that was pretty good, and so was Cro-Mag Rally. But if you come forward a couple years, you look at games like Modern Combat Sandstorm and Nova, which it isn't released yet, but it's coming out soon. You can see the difference that the developers have come. It is incredible. Now, if they start doing this in the beginning for the Zune HD and just outputting some really good games, then that will be obviously a major selling point, because parents will be like, oh, this is a great gaming device for my kids. I think the Zune HD should have had output speakers, or just speakers in it, like how the iPod Touch 2nd generation does. I don't know why they didn't. That seems stupid to me. That just seems stupid, considering the iPod Touch has it, and it's really good since it has a freaking radio. But, whatever. You could probably buy something just to plug in the top to be a little speaker. Next thing, they're going to have to market this right. They're going to have to advertise this and promote it correctly so that it gets out there and people see it. Another benefit of having a single device like this is that it gets more attention. When you have the iPhone and iPod Touch, Apple has to devote their attention to each device. They can't focus on one. With Microsoft and the Zune HD, they focus on one device, and all system software upgrades for it pertain to this one device. Also, not all applications work for the iPod Touch, as you may know. Considering all the apps will be made for the Zune HD and not a Zune HD phone, they're all going to be compatible, which is another good thing for me. So developers don't have to waste their time developing something possibly better for the 3GS, but able to be downgraded for the iPod Touch. Yeah, that's basically all I got. I might be forgetting stuff, but I don't think I am. I don't know if I'll get this the day it's released, but hopefully around that time, because I think it looks good. Thanks for listening, guys. See you later.